'Tis the year 1957, and the Windscale Powerplant's sudden destruction has shook Great Britain. This tragic event is shrouded in uncountable mysteries, like when will this 5-year-long quarantine end? What is infecting the survivors? But most importantly, who can get me out of here?
Oh, thank God you're alive. Now, if you don't mind, we're just gonna go kill your husband real quick. This is my door. Leave me alone.
Join me as I have 24 hours to escape this apocalyptic nightmare while making friends but mostly enemies along the way. Hey, my lovelies, I am your humble ringmaster, Crowmeda, and say it with me now, let the show begin! Going with the recommended survivor difficulty, I was flung into scenes of the past. A power plant named Windscale had been built in Cumberland by a company named Bard, but something there went sideways as the plant is seen with a tower of smoke reaching into the sky and is immediately put into lockdown, which should have been brief but ended up being indefinite. With even military convoys going missing there, all we know is that there's an interference field that blocks communications and crashes aircrafts. Man, I'd be sorry for the people that ended up trapped in there. The next thing you know, I wake up in a bunker, where I'm greeted by a limping scientist in a hazmat suit. He asked a whole bunch of questions, like what I'm doing in such a secure location and where someone named Dr. Powell is. But buddy, I just got here and I don't even know how. He explained that we are trapped in a bunker on the outskirts of Windscale. Perfect! The only way to get into the power plant is through a place called the Interchange, for which we need his key card. That prompted me to learn some basic medical recipes, so I decided to help this poor fellow through his quarrels. You see, the decisions that you make in the game heavily affect your playthrough and outcome, so let's just hope that helping him out won't bite me in the butt later on. The scientist also mentioned that the people who attacked him were outlaws, and he went on and on about breaking the quarantine of this place. He must be losing it, so I rushed to grab some cloth and whiskey, combined them to make a bandage, and handed it over. He gave us his key card and some notes of this place in return and urged us to head to the Interchange as he alludes to something terrible happening to him. I hope that doesn't mean some zombie stuff. It was kinda ominous the way you phrased that, my guy. But we do leave this wretched place. All I can tell is that this game has a lead system instead of markers, and I know that we need to get to the Interchange. To my left is a sealed gate and there's no power leading to it. Apparently, I need to use a signal redirector to change the flow of electricity to open gates, so I'll keep my eye out for one. For now, I made my escape through a hole and made my way into an overgrown room with half of a mech hanging from the roof and a guard patrolling the area. The scientist did warn me that everything on the outside is considered a threat, and since this is an outlaw and likely the culprit of our friend's stab wound, I ended his life and didn't feel bad about it for a second. As the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans. After looting some scraps and such, I found a door that was barred from the other side, but I found a vent beside it with blood trailing through it, so I squeezed on through. Inside, I noticed that someone had been living here. That someone was Dr. Powell. We found him, although lifeless against the wall, so I grabbed his things along with a note, but we'll read up on this once we're safe. For now, I took my leave of the bunker and got a fresh breath of air, and it turns out we are in a place called Slatten. The ominous nuclear power plant can be seen in the distance. To my right, a barricade, likely to keep things inside and not the other way around. But see, I was more than okay with that, as being trapped here for 24 hours was a blast, no pun intended. And you can join the fun of Atomfall too, as the masterminds behind Sniper Elite and Zombie Army, Rebellion, our adventure sponsor, invites you to the Lake District, where the tea is radioactive, people infected, robots, violent, mysteries aplenty, and the trees themselves may or may not be part of a cult. This new single-player FPS action survival game is big on exploration, crafting, boasts a unique heart rate system, and my personal favorite, multiple endings that depend on the choices you make. Y'all already know I'm a royally mess something up, but this means your interactions with the environment and its inhabitants can land you with a different outcome. And I'm absolutely loving the apocalyptic retro British vibes, and the fact that there's no fast travel means every inch of this beautiful twisted landscape matters, as there are mysteries tucked away in every corner. So grab your weapons, resist eating the glowing mushrooms, and play Atomfall on Game Pass, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC via Steam or Epic Games Store right now using my links down below, and let me know how you made it out of the quarantine zone. As I descended the hillside, there was an ominous phone booth that just began to ring out of nowhere. Well, that's concerning. Curiosity got the better of me as I inquired who this Oberon fellow was, but it just repeated the same command. All this had me quite overwhelmed, to say the least, but we're not in any immediate danger, so it's the perfect time to pop a squat and read over our findings. The scientist's note states that we need to get the truth about this quarantine zone out to the world. In short, the secrets lie in the Interchange. The keycard not only opens the door, but lifts the quarantine lock, and the truth is under the Windscale plant, so getting through the Interchange is a must. As for Dr. Powell's note, someone warned him not to go outside as his radio was useless and fixing it would be the death of him. This note seems to have come from the scientist that we met in the beginning, but evidently he did not stay inside and is now dead. Rest in pieces, Dr. P. That is all that we know, and my first thought is how the heck can we get out of this place? I need to get over that wall, so I first traveled to the barricades, and boy, this place has seen better days. We gathered water and other miscellaneous items from some ruins, but most importantly, a knife. I then climbed up to this bridge and in the distance spotted a fellow dude relieving himself into the river. Note to not drink downstream. But here, there was also a door with a dead body in front of it. This body had a cricket bat on it, and I love that you can throw melee weapons in this game. As I approached this person, it became clear that they are also an outlaw, so removing them stealthily proved to be successful. And just like that, we found a police club. Our arsenal grows by the minute. Inside the crashed helicopter was a corpse with a key and a note that indicated where to find a stash near the Slatten rail yard. Once we're there, I'll be sure to look for it, but for now, I picked up some purple herbs, likely for some potion crafting. The only thing that was semi-leading to the barricade was this cave, which turned out to be the Slatten Caves, which I entered. Cautiously, I proceeded through the darkness, but there was something that caught me off guard.
Oh, okay, they actually hurt. It's not a whole lot, but they do hurt. I thought that was just, graphical flair, but those are actual creatures, and I don't want to risk the biscuit this early on.
That was enough for me to skedaddle straight back from where I came from. While I was running, I noticed my heart rate increased, likely causing negative effects during my combat or stealth, so I'm going to need to pick my engagements cautiously. As I descended the hillside, I did see a person who called me over. His name is Nat, and for the moment, he doesn't seem to be aggressive. It was a relief that on the second hour, we found a friendly face and Nat asked us where we came from. And buddy, your guess is as good as mine. We likely took a bonk to the head, but he questions whether we came from the outside as we didn't look like the locals, and I didn't have a reason not to trust him, so I simply told him that the scientists woke me up in the bunker. He tells us that the scientists all died when the power plant went up in flames, but then, who was I talking to? Nowadays, only outlaws came around these parts, which we need to avoid. Curiously, I inquired for more information about where we are, and he says that the soldiers used to call this the quarantine zone, but nowadays there's mainly only savages and a handful of survivors like him and myself. He also mentions that the cement walls reach across the entire region and were plopped up immediately when the entire plant went awry. But it's not just the outlaws to be worried about. Suspicious things have been happening across the place. I asked if these suspicious things include random phone calls from the phone box, but he says that they've been disconnected for years and thinks I'm crazy. Not wanting to trust him too much further, I just went along with it, acting as if I just might have imagined things. He goes on that the government has been doing shady things ever since the Windscale plant had been plopped up across the water. They had seemingly been doing a lot of stuff underground, and if they were trying to bury evidence or something, it didn't fix the colossal problem that they caused. He also mentioned he heard some scientists talk about a supposed interchange, but stopped himself before he said too much. Makes sense, since apparently there is a safe village somewhere from which he got kicked out because he would never shut the frick up. I tried to get him to spill the beans by being friendly with him, and he says that the scientists can't have been up to any good, and that if we want more information, we'll have to find a tinkerer named Molly up north who has more information about such things. As for where the village is, he's kind enough to point us in the direction, but doesn't have any desire to go there himself, as he says it's like a prison camp there, and that people like him do better out in the open. Alright, buddy, you do you. Be as free as you want to be. With that, on my map, I have the general locations of where the trader, Molly, and the village should be. Before progressing any further, I decided to loot anything here that I could find, and on another corpse, I found an actual Leamington 12-gauge shotgun and its ammo nearby, but something tells me ammo is going to be scarce in such a place, so I'll hold on to this, only using it sparingly in emergencies. As I proceeded towards the structures in the valley, I could already see the aggression level on my HUD from a nearby outlaw. Turns out, he's also got Molotovs, so I rushed straight at him before he could burn me alive and ended him swiftly, which whacked us into a place that is called Water Wheels. Logically, I started looting this place like the little gremlin that I am, finding a flashlight and a grenade. Very handy. I almost set off a tripwire trap in this process though. To disarm them, I'm going to need to learn a skill down the line though, which I can only do if I find things called training stimulants, so I'll be on the lookout for those. I also noticed books lying around and a few more notes intermingled in the loot. I checked through more scrap-infested buildings and found a .22 rifle. That's going to come in very clutch. So while I was still safe, I decided to use the time to make more bandages. Also, my lovelies, this is not related to the sponsor, but see, I'm looking to get into game development. So if you're an experienced artist, coder, modeler, or have any other skill that's fit for making a game, shoot me an email to the one in the video description and show me what you got. As I was leaving this place, I noticed an odd purple glob on a tree. As the saying goes, curiosity killed the crow, so I went to go check it out, and as I got closer, mutated wasps emerged from it. And as I was about to take it out, a large squad of outlaws came into my view, so that was my cue to hide. Once the coast was clear, I lobbed a melee weapon at the hornet's nest, and it took 2 tosses to break it, but sadly, it didn't drop any honey or anything, so I just risked my skin for nothing. In this entire mess, though, I did find a seemingly locked bunker door, so I'll be sure to remember this spot. Slowly but surely, I wandered through the region to not alert the guards, but I ended up smack dab in the middle of them. That was a little too close for comfort, but that notified me that I'm in a new area called the Rail Yard, where the supposed stash is hidden. Keeping this stealthy momentum going, I infiltrated one of their buildings and searched for it. I did stumble upon a few other things though, like a note and a different loot stash, which stored a revolver, so I'm not complaining. Whoever wrote this note did complain that the miners were being superstitious about ghosts down below, but even eventually this person descended into madness, saying that they themselves witnessed some gray-skinned beings entering the mines. Either the pollution from Windscale is causing people to hallucinate, or this is actually true. At this point, it's kind of 50-50. Sneaking into the 3rd hour, I escaped to a creek nearby, but apparently, that didn't mean that I was home free.
Oh! What is that, leeches? Yo, it's mutated leeches. Oh, that's disgusting.
Having escaped that conundrum, I noticed that I was getting close to the trading camp, so I decided to investigate. Upon arriving there, Molly greeted me, the tinkerer that Nat had told us about. She assumes that we're from the village, which is fine, but I felt like I could get more information from her if I told her that I wasn't, but I did hope that that didn't ruin my trading opportunities. Thankfully, she doesn't care at all where we're from, so we got to do some bartering. See, I really love trading in this game because you do it by balancing the scale so that everybody's happy, and different vendors value different item types in their own unique way. I was trying to buy a book to learn a new skill, but she drives a pretty hard bargain, especially considering that I'm broke. I would have to sell everything that I own, plus a kidney to afford it. What I ended up doing, though, was getting rid of my grenades and shotgun stuff, as using these things is likely not very stealthy, so I opted to get a metal detector in return for the ability to get some extra items. I'm thinking in the long term it's going to be beneficial to find loot scattered here and there. Plus, I purchased some notes to learn how to craft shivs. Considering you can throw melee weapons, maybe I can throw them like kunais. With that wrapped up and everybody happy, Molly did mention that her wares can change from time to time, so we can stop by whenever we're in the area to see if there's something of our interest. On the topic though, since I want to know where the Interchange is, I asked about a government research site in the area, and since we were honest with her about being outsiders, she was honest with us and said that the scientists built a lot of bunkers, as we already know. However, one of them, which the outlaws were unable to open, is called the Interchange. I like where this is going, and she even marked it on our map. Well, that was f***ing easy. I don't know what that other scientist had a problem with. Ask and you shall receive, as they say. So I bid my farewell and viewed the entrance of the Interchange on my map. On my way there, though, I did find the entrance to the supposed village.
This has to be an Attack on Titan reference. It has to be.
Apparently, the village is behind this extra pair of giant walls, and after a short speech from the intercoms about how lawful and strict they are, I hear gunshots ringing out behind me, emphasizing Slattendale's savagery. Before entering Windham Village, as it's called, which is under protocol control, which are the soldiers that remain, I wandered to verify if Molly's claim about the interchange was accurate, so I passed through the land and gathered what I could along the way. What she had described was that it was located on a cliff overlooking the valley, so I climbed as high as I could. And you know, I'm not really sure what to look for, but based on the location and this giant block of cement in front of me, I think it fits the bill. So I assumed this was my ticket out of here. I didn't hesitate to enter one bit. Inside was the Interchange gateway. An automated message played from the intercoms here too, and by its wording, it seems that the Interchange passages and gateways themselves are under quarantine, so no people are allowed to go inside. I walked up to the control room of sorts and found a pneumatic dispatch tube that functions as a storage chest from which you can deposit and collect items from anywhere where you find another one. There was a noticeable interface for me to use the scientist's keycard, but first, I decided to open the map. From what I could tell from this floor plan, there are 3 different access points to this area that all diverge into the same center, hence the name, the Interchange. If this is where the scientist wanted me to go, that's where I shall go. As soon as I entered this behemoth of a gate, and therefore breaking the quarantine, I was notified that I was trespassing, which means that any enemy that I come across will attack me on sight. That didn't deter me though, as I whipped out my flashlight and proceeded with the utmost caution. I'd only walked in a little bit when I was encountered by bats. No matter what, they always come for me. So after a little while, I decided to stand my ground instead of trying to outrun them. They didn't seem to do too much damage after all, but for every one that I killed, 2 seemed to replace it. After an intense session of whack-a-bat, I decided to have a look around, and this is when my metal detector started beeping. I searched around using the lights as indicators and eventually found a cache in the ground with a radiation resistance tonic. Interesting. Amongst the rubble, I also found a corpse with some poison and a note. Apparently, the workers here were cut off from the world when the quarantine hit. They had been hearing strange noises coming from below, which is quite worrisome. The bottom was blocked off from here, but the boss of them went to go check it out, having to go through a robotics lab to reach it. It is sad to read that I think they died of hunger down here, and they built this place for the scientists from Bard, but didn't even know what for. Also, this little office booth is locked, and the person that had the key was the boss that went through robotics, so I'll keep a lookout for that. Reading the signs, to the left was a sealed door named Medical, and to the right was Robotics. However, both these options are sealed to me, so I have no other choice but to crawl through a tight space into the middle shaft. Right off the rip, I noticed that the only possible way for me to go in here is to a place that is labeled Oberon. That's not ominous at all. Cautiously, I proceeded, but I didn't dare open the final door that I found. I had to use my sound judgment that whatever Oberon is, and considering that it must die, I didn't want to be anywhere near it until I was at least a little bit more prepared. However, as I was leaving, I noticed the power generator that lit up the whole area. Sadly though, the power did not reach the door to Robotics Lab. This might be a fixer-upper. I'm gonna need to find more generators or something of the sorts. Feeling like this entire place was getting a little bit too big for my britches though, I decided to get back outside to safety. And remembered that I needed to learn the recipe to make shivs and crafted this ruler-looking dagger. Gazing over the valley, I decided to follow the lead of the special stash that is in the rail yard. Whatever its contents may be, it might help me gear up. And so, I stumbled into the 4th hour, learning that there is, in fact, fall damage. I did end up in this outlaw camp, and since I'm here, I decided to steal everything from right under their noses. I say that, and that's when they spotted me. So I just had to take them all out, logically.
Oh crap, it's a single bolt action.
Yeah, I saw my life flash before my eyes as no bullet got spat out, but I gotta say, I do like that the enemies hesitate to attack you when you aim at them, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to let them live. Once I took this target out, I was swarmed by a horde of these bandits, so I tried hightailing it out of danger as fast as my little legs could take me. I ended up seeking refuge to catch my breath in one of the abandoned houses, but this place still was absolutely buzzing with outlaws, so I had no choice but to fight my way out of here. So after cutting an opponent down to size, I used this moment to make a break for it.
Oh, oh crap, I have the whole army on me. Oh, I gotta go. Oh, my heart is racing. I'm so low on health. Okay. I'm hidden in the grass. Let me heal. Use advantage. It doesn't do a lot, but it'll hold me over.
I flung a shiv at one of them and injured a second one at the perfect moment for the Molotov that he threw to land straight onto himself, burning himself alive. This place was now teeming with violent enemies, so all I could do is lie in wait and pick them off one by one in a battle of stealthy attrition. Going about this situation this way had a lot of loot coming my way, and I was also conveniently right next to the trader, which meant that once I was safe, I would be able to make some very juicy trades.
I must resist my goblin urges. No, Molly! No, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you, Molly. I really don't. I did not hit you. I did not. Molly, let's just think about this. Okay? Just calm down. Just calm down. We've done good business. Oh, my one trader has become aggressive to me. I hope it resets. No, Molly, go back home. Go. Shoot. Go, Molly. No, Molly. Stop. No, Molly, I don't want to fight you.
Right. Want to fight, do
No,
ya?
I don't. Leave me alone, Molly. I'm going to feed you to the leeches. That is if I don't die first. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is incredibly bad. The thing is, no matter if I try to hide, Molly just tries to f me up. Oh, great. And there's more coming in front of me. Oh, God. Is this going to be the end? Molly is now aggressively moonwalking towards me. That's not a good sign. I feel like I need to get to the interchange to maybe reset things because that's a loading screen. So if y'all don't mind me, I'm going to heal up and run for my dear life.
I booked it all the way to the interchange, hopped inside, caught my breath, and then hopped back out, hoping that Molly would have gotten back to her senses. I just can't afford to lose this friend and subsequently only trader that I know. On my way though, I did uncover a cache with my metal detector. It carried a note from an old lady named June, whose husband apparently was snooping around too much for information on the protocol soldiers, so I think she took out her own husband, being scared that she would also be found guilty, so that I think sets the stage for how bad things in the village actually are, but it's also noted she frequents a tea room, so I'll remember that. Sadly though, upon returning to the trade spot, Molly just wouldn't stop insisting on throwing down, so I had no choice but to put her down and end our short-lived business partnership. I looted some atomic battery off of her body though, and was mourning the loss of her. I did get a spiky club too, so I guess it's not all bad. You gotta see the silver lining in things, but I can't seem to catch a break.
Stay back. I am mourning the loss of a friend. Boom. All right. One of you alone I can take out with melee, because I'm saving this one bullet for a special occasion that I've left. Oh, you think so? Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Uh-oh. How do I get off of it? Oh, I'm burning alive. Oh, I'm burning alive. Oh. Take. Use. Okay. I'm healed. What? There we go. Oh, jeez. Give me a second to breathe, will ya?
As I was running low on good ammo, I decided that for now, I needed to use this revolver to find out how to survive in this hellhole. Like a true scavenger, I found another cache, which thankfully had more rifle ammo and a painkiller recipe. I took things very cautiously and found another note nearby that told me to head to an old mine in the Casterfell woods where there would be a person called Mother Jaggo to guide me. To what or for what exactly? I had no idea. I didn't even know where the woods were. I did make up my mind on how to proceed though. I went back to that bunker that I had spotted and decided to take a peek inside. Upon entering, I got immediate horror game vibes, and I don't know if it's my mind playing tricks on me, but I definitely could hear a low growl of sorts down the hall. This is most definitely where my revolver is going to come in handy. Every fiber in my being was telling me that this was not a smart play, especially as I peeked into a room with a zombified human wrapped in magical looking plant life. whatever this thing is, it has to be what they are quarantining in the Interchange. While sneaking around the place without trying to wake it, I found a note from the Bard organization. They explained that they had escaped the medical department, that all protocols had failed, and a certain Dr. Fisher that had been infected. Everyone was willing to put him down if they observed the same symptoms present as they tested on animals. And I don't know if this zombified human is Dr. Fisher, but I should probably do him the favor of letting him rest eternally.
I darn near myself.
You weren't the only one.
I inspected the creature, which is called a feral, and observed its semi-translucent skin and concluded that this was probably the being that they were alluding to haunting the surrounding mines. The biggest problem is that I can hear them everywhere, so this place seems to be crawling with these dudes. But there is no turning back now, as this place is a treasure trove of information and loot. This game is huge on inventory management, so thank God there is a pneumatic tube. Every time that I accessed one, I got to dump a whole bunch of stuff and relieve my back from all the junk that I was carrying around. Moving further into the bunker, I found another note, and it turns out the feral monster wasn't Dr. Fisher, but that everyone who was present eventually turned into ferals. A bit more critical information is that a person named Ellen might have answers to all this mess, so we'll keep an eye out for him. Crawling into Hour 5, I continued to explore this bunker, staying on my toes. During my exploration, I found a training stimulant, which meant that I could learn a skill at long last. I decided to go for what made my throwing weapons deal more damage. Right after, I was attacked by a swarm of rabbit rats, and they do deal radiation damage buildup, but nothing a couple of axe swings couldn't fix. I continued my exploring and found even more training stimulants, so this was a fantastic find. I'll keep these though, and see if I can afford a more expensive skill down the line. As for now, I had more important things to deal with.
Whoa! What the hell is that? Okay, oh, there's more of them. Oh, I gotta go. I did not expect there to be a second one. And I'm infected? What's going on? My health is basically non-existent. Yeah, I'm going to ditch my axe and leave.
Lessons were learned. I did make it out alive, but I had that symbol of an infection building up, but thankfully I think I'm kind of okay. But I did start hearing voices now that were telling me to join them, whoever they are, whatever that means. But considering that I'm infected and this is happening, this Mother Jaggo figure who supposedly knows how to cure ailments might be critical, so I should probably take haste and find her. During my searches, I stumbled upon a sewer tunnel from which we bought a key from Molly back in the day. With the key also came a note. Turns out that this was her take on being a real estate agent, so thank you, Molly, our very own sewers to call home.
Wait a minute. Trespassing? I bought this property fair and square. You are home invaders. I'll be back.
I continued to search for Mother Jaggo. A group of outlaws was to my right, so I went left up the mountain, leading me to a camp of theirs where I took 2 of them out, stole some ammo, and slid out undetected down the mountainside. I explored some more, found a lush vegetated cave with some loot inside, but still no Mother Jaggo. Down the road, I did find a note near a wrecked military vehicle. It stated that the military improved their tech before entering the zone, but eventually that didn't make a difference. What did stand out to me though was a dead soldier who had died from a volley of arrows. Apparently this poor soul was tasked with finding the Interchange while the rest of his platoon went to check up on the people in Windham. Back on the topic of Mother Jaggo, it was said that she is in an old mines of a forest. There's an area on the map that appears to be a forest, so that's where I was heading. Along the way, I did look for the stash, and in no time at all, we actually found it in the railroads. It came with a revolver and a sticky bomb recipe. Knowledge is power indeed. As we continued, I came across a cache in the ground with a note. According to it, an explosion happened at the plant, which wasn't a surprise, and everyone was eager to get the flip out of there. There's a safe house described in the note near where we saw that one outlaw taking a leak. We are starting to know our way around this place, although due to very bizarre landmarks. Eventually, I reached the mines where we previously entered, called the Slatten Mines. She's probably not here, but since we're checking it out, we might as well have a deeper look. We entered, and in the distance, we could see someone mining. Turns out this person is named Rege, and I assume he's not hostile. He seemed pretty skittish though, worried about any possible danger, but I reassured him that I meant him no harm. He responded positively to that and even offered us guidance and trading. I guess I found my new best friend, so to begin our business venture together, I offered up all of my disposable weapons and explosives for some burn salve and a recipe to make makeshift grenades. Give a man a grenade and he'll blow up a truck. Teach a man how to make grenades and you'll have the 4th of July. And would you look at that, he also states that he appreciates a conversation or two with some of the voices in his head. We already have so much in common. I pried him for more information of the places the voices told him to go, but he didn't want to speak up as he didn't want them to get angry. I didn't want to escalate things though, so I told him that if he does tell me about the places, I may be able to help him. He tells us that he used to work these mines and that one day the scientists came back and took over a part called the Interchange. We already know that though. I thanked him for that information and asked him where this cave leads specifically. These mine shafts essentially form a loop leading to different zones, and there's one place we are to avoid, a place called Skethermoor, which is filled with very aggressive soldiers. I asked him for information about this region in particular, and he told us that the miners found something in one of the caves and then, out of nowhere, were sworn to secrecy, even though they knew nothing. More and more, the secrets of the Interchange pique my curiosity. Leaving the mines on hour 6, I ended up in front of the crashed helicopter, and there had some more encounters with outlaws. There was no outrunning them, as they had me cornered too. My strategy to deal with groups was to use the little ammo that I had on the strongest looking ones, and leave the last for my nail club, which was the parting gift from Molly. Since we're close to the safe house that we had spotted, which the scientist named Bunker L7, I might as well take a peek inside too. And it didn't take long to find a feral. I took it out swiftly so I could loot this area in peace. I also ended up finding a bard crate with some extra training stimulants, so this is fantastic. Finally, after a thorough investigation, I took a peek into a room where the scientists went bananas apparently. Turns out their safe house wasn't all too safe, but at least this place has another tube to lighten my backpack's load. This is also when I decided to use the training stimulants that I've been stacking up to unlock the charisma skill for better bartering. Might as well have this early on so that all of the remaining trades that I do during this run are beneficial for me. Exiting the mines, we descended once again to the ominous ringing red telephone box. We picked it up and it congratulated us on finding some atomic batteries. Rest in peace, Molly. Wanting to trick the voice, I responded doubtfully, not seeing why this was a good thing, but all it responded with was that we would need more for the interchange. Since I was here, I noticed that I had some extra medkits and decided to rush back to that scientist who helped me get out. Maybe there was still a way to save him, but sadly, he was nowhere to be seen. But this adventure wasn't for nothing, as with our metal detector, we discovered some more supplies here. Looking at the map, there was one area that I hadn't explored yet in Slatten. Maybe Mother Jaggo was there. By doing some mountain climbing, I found a tight squeeze to fit through, bringing me to an uninhabited bunker of sorts. But before even entering, I found iodine, which lets me craft my first painkillers. As for the bunker, looks like something got to whoever was living here, but I did find a stacked up mod crate. Inside was a poison antidote and a few other doodads. Back up at the top of the mountain, at the outlaw camp that I had spotted, I had a brief firefight with a few of them, and thus was able to get another weapon, a higher quality bolt-action rifle. Don't mind if I do. With the coast now clear, it gave me the opportunity to snoop around, and after no time at all, I found an old cave entrance that was lined with human skulls. Based on a note that I had found, it was the bandits that live here that were the cause of that convoy earlier on to have been destroyed. And turns out the outlaws also are in search of the interchange. They just seem to have a habit of killing anyone who might have information on it, so there's that. Upon entering, I immediately felt like I was in a Skyrim bandit dungeon. Cautiously, I maneuvered my way through their not-so-safe living quarters. I really had to sparingly use my shots though, as ammo is not a common commodity in these parts. I was aware though that I willingly ended up in the belly of the beast, so confrontation was completely unavoidable at some points, but I was as if filled with rage and started to go on the offensive, clobbering my way on through the hallways. So come the 7th hour, I reached the final treasure trove, which granted me some SMG ammo. Now I just need an SMG. I also read a book, which unlocked 3 more weapon skills that I could learn, which is really nice. I like that the skill progression system is tied to exploration. After taking my leave from this place, I made a quick visit to the bunker where I had been scared so severely from the ferals. I noticed that the placement of these had not changed and took out the 2 that still remained in quick succession. The reason I came here was to make pneumatic tube deposits of unneeded things and retrieve things to trade with Rege. I did have a lot of meds at this point in time, but decided to still see what else this bunker had to offer. I did find a note on a desk emphasizing the craziness that befalls the infected, seeing themselves as a collective, not as individuals. As I had gotten better at combat, clearing out these areas seemed to be getting much easier, while still keeping the notion of caution. With this place fully looted, I popped out of it and headed over to Reg and bartered my weapons in exchange for all of his gunpowder.
Bye.
Bye, bestie.
You be careful out there.
You too.
I wanted these because now I could make my very own sticky bombs. Once I exited the mines, my search for the herbalist continued. I found a cave below an outlaw camp, and she's likely not inside, but at this point, I'm running out of options here. It isn't a forest, but it's something. A little bit of parkour led me access to a bard crate where I found some more stimulants too. I finally squeezed into the cave and, with my trusty flashlight, explored it some more. At the end of said cave, we found a dead researcher who, by the looks of things, was shacking up here. On his person, we found a key to the Slatten radio tower. Now the question is, where is that even located? Looking for said tower, I accidentally got into combat with a large group of outlaws, but thanks to Reg's burn salve, we were able to apply it and make our grand escape.
What would a radio tower look like? Probably like a radio tower, to be honest. You know, I'm no genius, but sometimes my intelligence scares me. Sometimes. The thing is, it's a Slatten radio tower, so it has to be in this region. Keycard to unlock the console at the Slatten radio tower. If I were a radio tower, I would be high up. Although if I were a radio tower, I wouldn't have an opinion or a choice in that matter. But that is just an assumption.
Now, at this point in time, I didn't spot anything that resembled a radio tower in Slattendale. The only thing that I spotted that kind of looked like one was across the wall in a forest in the direction that I assumed Protocol was protecting. So, into that direction I went, which landed me straight into the sewers, our home, and there I was reminded that we still had a little rat infestation to solve.
This is a bad idea on your part, buddy. That was not smart.
The rats were dealt with swiftly, and suddenly actual rats started appearing. I'm no realtor, but something tells me that you shouldn't try selling a place that is infested with the bubonic plague. One of the exits led us to where we first saw the leeches in Slattendale, and another was labeled Casterfell Woods. At long last, we have directions! An ominous note that I did find did state, though, that there are some mad druids that have been destroying and looting everything, so concerning, but I proceeded through the sewers and eventually reached Casterfell Woods, a whole new map to explore, and it looks quite pretty. Immediately, what stood out to me was blue symbols marked across the area, lush trees, and an ominous trespassing symbol on my hood. That, combined with a totem pole and magical blue flames, had me feeling all sorts of nose, nopes, and naws. But despite all that and my better judgment, I decided to enter the stone circle before me. Whoever this poor soul was hung up here is completely engulfed by the magical purple mist. In the center of the sacrificial circle, I found a note from the druids. They spoke of voices coming from the soil, and whatever this is, they see it as a rebirth of sorts. Now, I could enter this ominous-looking door, but I don't remember ordering a one-way ticket to the afterlife, so as I was looking for Mother Jaggo anyway, I'm going to look for her into any direction that isn't that one.
Hey! Let my people go! Release my brother! Be free! Oh, that actually worked. Wait, I saw a feather. I hope I didn't kill him. Friendly fire. Although now that I think about it, that was probably their alarm system, so I think we're good.
And as if the bad juju hasn't reached an all-time high yet, a forest effigy is standing upon a mountain, gazing across the lands. I kind of miss my outlaws right now. Amongst the rubble, I did find another note, though. Whoever wrote this desperately wanted to be part of a ritualistic life of talking to voices in the soil. Man, this place is odd, but before I knew it, I was surrounded by multiple druids. But just because they think that they're magical doesn't mean that they are. The club seemed to do just fine. One thing was clear though, I needed another deposit tube stat as my inventory was packed, and I don't think that the druids at that sacrificial fire are going to give me directions. While searching, I came across another helicopter crash site and listened to the Mayday log. Someone named Dr. Garrow was aboard, and they crashed due to the interference field. She calls out to people in the Interchange, but assumes that everyone there is dead. The last part of the audio log says that she'll make her way over to the village, likely because it's safe, so her trail leads us to Windham. Now, I wanted to head that way moving into Hour 8, but I couldn't, as I was leaving so much loot behind that I actually decided to just turn around and get my butt back to Slatten, where I could access one of the tubes. As soon as I got there, I was encountered by a group of outlaws, but honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they're a sight for sore eyes. We had some rustling and tussling, a little bit of a sniper fight as well, but ultimately, even I used a grenade that I crafted, so I guess we better craft some more, because these things are dangerously fun.
I just threw that bat like a chancla.
Upon returning to Rege, I could tell that he didn't get new items, but instead replenished some of the ones that I already bought from him, so I guess he will be our gunpowder salesman. That did clue me in on that we'll need to get a new salesman, as gunpowder isn't the only thing I'm going to need. I ran out the cave, but apparently I took a wrong turn, as I accidentally ended up in hell itself, known as Skethermoor, where I saw a giant mech, which proceeded to torch some innocent boxes. If it does that to furniture, I don't even know what it'll do to me. So, guess what? I hightailed my booty cheeks on out of there and went straight back to Slatten. The only thing on my mind, aside surviving, is to find a new trader. So I went through the sewers, but stumbled upon a ladder that I hadn't used before and decided to make my way on up it and checked it out. Once I popped my head out of the surface, I realized I was on the other side of the wall, and with that, in Windham Village. So, that's cool. I definitely can find a trader here. On the fences, I did read a note, which made it clear that Protocol will deal with anything out of the ordinary, so I want to keep a low profile. As I stumbled around and eventually got into the village, I was noticed by the soldiers, which had me a bit worried, but from what I gather, as long as I'm on my best behavior, everything's just going to be hunky-dory. Honestly, this place is a breath of fresh air and I don't want to ruin it, although they are quite strict about enforcing obedience.
Please don't make us hurt you. I think that summarizes the situation quite a bit.
Yeah, apparently not everything is sunshine and rainbows here in Paradise. Many buildings were locked up and quarantined, and tampering with them would be considered treason. The city has a lot of mysteries to uncover, I could tell, and it is very clear that the soldiers are jumpy, to say the least. Also, for law enforcement, they use their very own mechs, so I ain't gonna try no funny business. I say that, fully knowing that that's just a straight up lie. From here inside the village, we can see our more significant task at hand as we see the skyline, which has a significantly destroyed power plant on its horizon. What took me aback, though, was the phone ringing yet again, and the ominous voice told me that this land simply is not safe. What was clear, though, through the intercoms, was that the soldiers hated the outlaws and druids equally, and any allegiance could end in heresy, so I'll be sure not to mention my encounters with them to anybody. In my search for a trader, I sat down at this quaint little spot and had a sip of tea, which had me thinking to myself, whose tea is this? Which is when I remembered, we read about a tea shop in a prior note. Turning around, I found a place called Grendel's Head before me, so overjoyed I just waltzed right in.
It's like having another bloody war.
Well, aren't you just cheeky?
The bartender here is called Alf. I had been through quite a bit, so I asked for a drink, to which he obliged. Honestly, I was surprised everyone here was still alive and kicking it, so I have no complaints about these living arrangements. Alf says the captain treats strangers better than regular folk here, though, which is a little bit weird. I wonder why that is exactly. Before getting any information out of Alf, I decide to ask if he needed anything. Surprised, he deflects and asks what we thought of the protocol soldiers. I answered that I think they are doing an okay job, simply because I know what the other two regions are like. I guess that wasn't too bad of an answer because he asks if we can get some notes for him. One of them is in Skethermoor, and he says he can't do it himself because the soldiers won't let him leave without question. Obviously, I would be hesitant to do this task if it were dangerous, and I know it is because I've seen Skethermoor, but he reassures us that it's nothing too wild. The notes that he needs are from his friend Nora, and one from his other friend who travels all over Skethermoor. He does then afterwards mention that the troops at Skethermoor treat that place like a firing range, so I might want to err on the side of caution, but I already knew that, my guy. So we discovered that Alf is indeed a trader, but only trades some consumables, and that is not exactly what I'm looking for. I can't kill somebody with a tomato. I mean, I could try. For a brief moment on hour 9, I had passed through all of my notes to see if there was any extra leads that I could use. Before leaving, though, I had another quick chat with Alf. He seemed like a sly guy, so I asked him if he could get his hands on some bard equipment, but that shot him into a desperate attempt to quiet us down, as he tells us that there have only been rumors about such caches, but nothing else. But because I'm so incredibly charismatic and I already agreed to help him, he should do the same for me, which he does. He loosens up a little bit. He says that there was this guy who came to this pub and spoke of some interchange, which very likely stores some bard equipment. All this talk about the interchange, man, you think this was some grand secret, but seems like everybody's in on it. I know he stretched out his neck to tell me that information, so I didn't pry any further, thanked him, and changed the subject to if he had seen Dr. Garrow around. He recognizes her as a top dog in the power plant. She started bossing the protocol soldiers around in town as soon as she got here, and they ended up just locking her up somewhere in Skethermoor, which seems a little bit drastic, but I don't make the rules here. Apparently, she began issuing automated voice commands to the turrets, which made the commander very anxious. I think I understand why now. So I took my leave and decided to head on over to the village hall. Upon entering, I took a brief glance at a note that I found. The interference zone is a column and not a dome, which basically prohibits any vehicle at all from entering, even from the sky. At the end of the hall was Captain Grant Sims, who's weary of strangers but not opposed to them, so he asked us where we're from. Not wanting to get off on the wrong foot with authority, I said I didn't know what happened before today, and he's okay with that answer, and just asked us to stay out of trouble. He does want some information from us, though, and I asked him why he thinks I would have any information to give. I am an amnesiac, after all. Essentially, he wants to know any information that I can provide about the outside. Likely because everyone here wants to get out, so I decided to bargain for this information. He assures us that we had better be with them than against them, and that together we are fighting the plague that has infested this land. He's very keen for me to be on their side, not the other way around, I can tell. And as much as I don't like the way they are treating the civilians here, I would rather have these mechs on my side, so I tell them that I have been tasked with investigating the interchange, which is true because of the scientist. He warns us to not use that term here as it brings no good. He is terribly disappointed that we do not have any information of the outside, but lets us have our liberties for now. I have a feeling, though, that won't be the case for very long. Sensing I may have f***ed up a little bit, I decided I would follow the law and help protocol where I could. All he wants for us is to snoop around and be his eyes and ears for him. Our first target is a lady named Iris. We must see if she's up to no good, so I took my leave. Opposed to what he said, I immediately made my way on over to investigate this region's interchange. And it's right there, right outside the door. Sadly, a guard is present, so getting in is not going to be easy. I started by taking out a soldier, who was most likely mourning a loved one, but he had a better rifle than I, so his death was not in vain. A semi-automatic sniper rifle is just the tool for the job. Against my better judgment, I then decided to enter, likely, the trespassing zone to the gate. All that stood between me and this interchange was this singular guard. Before being fully noticed, I snuck on in, and inside I found the body of a fellow named James Clark, with a note written by someone called Philip. Philip had discovered this place and ended up getting infected by the Ferals. No bueno. They both wanted to meet at the bakery, enter together, and find a cure for said infection, but seemingly that didn't really happen. I made it to this region's interchange gate, opened it on up, and entered. This place has definitely more infection going on than the one in Slattendale, that's for sure. A note that I picked up here spoke of how the infected became part of a hive mind. That explains why they always speak collectively. Another note mentioned that the interchange was powered with hydroelectricity, but that wasn't enough to power the whole facility. That is why these atomic batteries were developed, of which I have one. Amongst the wild vegetation in the interchange, I found some spores that I could only interact with once I had the blue finger skill, so I'm going to take note of that. That must come in handy later. All the remaining passageways were blocked out, except for the one named Oberon. Great. So I guess I have to look inside. Most places inside were inaccessible due to lack of power, and I almost dared to open the final door, but thank God for the safety workers, as a sign described the place to have radiation inside. Not wanting to risk to check if that's true or not, I skedaddled on out till I had something resistant for that. Hesitantly then, I made my way out the back door.
Let me out.
Okay,
No.
thing, aren't you?
No. No, I wanted to get out. I didn't want to kill you. Trust me, I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I just wanted to leave in peace. But the bushes, man.
After that, I just slipped into the bushes away from the graveyard. Nearby, the dastardly phone rang once more. Still, it only repeated its warnings of the dangers of Windham Village, that it is not safe. It doesn't want me to trust anyone except itself. This phone is very greedy. I was gathering my thoughts, moving into the 10th hour, when the phone rang again. The voice, now identifying itself as the operator, said that we needed to find all of the interchange doors. You got it, creepy voice person. Next, I explored the lovely town to see if I could find any other landmarks of value, but I was mainly looking for a merchant to barter for things with. Eventually, I found the hardware shop that Morris Wick runs. He is the shopkeeper, and although he is curious as to how we got into town, he is more interested in showing us the stuff that he has for trade. Finally, somebody that speaks my language. We haggled for a bit, but we managed to get 2 grenades out of him and a pretty good knife. I am pleased that we found this fellow, and I hope we can keep him alive. Next to the shop was the bakery that we had been hearing so much about, the suspicious one. It has so much lovely food inside, but something had my spider senses tingling.
What in the frick was that?
Trying to ignore the sounds, I spoke to the owner, Iris, and she tells us very confidently that she is a very law-abiding citizen and that the protocol soldiers have nothing to worry about. No innocent person on the entire planet ever has said that and is innocent. I'm just saying. You might want to give that shtick a little bit of work, mama. I reassured her, though, that I wasn't with the troops, which seemed to calm her down. Also, y'all remember the note that I found of 2 dudes going into the interchange and one of them being infected? Turns out, Philip is Iris's husband. She told me that her husband had been hearing voices and that said voices were making him terribly sick. These ghastly noises are starting to make a lot more sense, as I can literally feel him breathing down my neck from the first floor. She's worried that if the soldiers find him as he's infected, they'll end him for snooping around where he shouldn't have been, but she is convincing herself that he isn't turning feral, but is simply just sick. I don't know, has a common cold or something. She mentions a tonic has been keeping the voices at bay. She says she's all out, and someone by the name of Mother Jaggo could help us. Whoop-de-frickin-do! Apparently, all the roads also lead to Mother Jaggo. Iris marks the location of the herbalist on our map, finally, but asks us to bring her another bottle of the tonic in return as she's running low. Absolutely, you just saved me so much effort. I can finally meet the renowned herbalist we have been talking about since the beginning. It is high time that we visit this lady, so through the sewer tunnels we go, and for some odd reason, druids are now infesting my home. They put up a good fight, and I did see my life flashing before my eyes just for a little while, but eventually I got rid of these pests and entered the forest, now getting my bearings as to where this lady is, and it turns out she is all the way up north, so off we go. Reaching her would prove to be difficult, though, as the forest seemed to be infested by cultist druids who don't like to die. After beating up multiple of these dastardly druids, I was rewarded with a bow. This is perfect, as it'll be the best stealth weapon moving forward. Cautiously, I'd made my way through the rugged landscape and stumbled upon the radio tower, likely the one I already spotted when I peeked over the wall from Slatten. What surprised me, though, is it was guarded by outlaws, not druids. I don't think they've been mingling, but this is odd either way. Before entering the tower, though, I listened to a pre-recorded voice message from a woman named Joyce Tanner. She has left some coordinates for where she would be camping out. Also, I guess it doesn't matter if we have the key card or not, if the whole place doesn't seem to have any power, so I'll be back. At the 11th hour, I was heading north. My determination was unwavering to finally meet the herbalist, so under the disguise of stealth, I moved through enemy territory. And at long last, reaching the old mine, I uncovered a trade store where we finally got to meet Mother Jaggo, to whom I handed the leaflet that I found that was promoting her services. She apologizes for the dreadfully vague directions. I'm glad we're on the same page, and chops it up to the soldiers not being too fond of her and her practices. And having a look at her wares, I could see that she was trading spores, so that definitely would explain that protocols would, get rid of her a long time ago. I then asked her for the tonic to heal Iris's husband. She hoped that the tonic has eased Philip's pain up till now, but the worst part was that the recipe had now landed in the main castle of the druids. So that was where we had to go if we wanted it. She also mentioned that the druids took her herbalist book and that if I came across it, she would like it back. Man, these druids be stealing. As for the castle that she mentions, I assumed it's the colossal dam next to me, which seems to still be producing electricity. Curiosity almost became the death of me as I walked into a power grid and got zapped into high heaven. If I'm going to die in this game, it better not be in some stupid way. The more I looked around, the more surprised I was that it seemed to be abandoned. I was sure that there would be enemies here. I don't know, maybe I'll ask the giant twig effigy for directions. As I was trying to make my way up to it, I found someone camping out in the open. It's a trader named Billy, and Billy is either infected or turning into a White Walker from Game of Thrones with his white skin and blue eyes. He is self-conscious about his appearance, but due to my capitalistic mindset and need for a trader, I don't mention that to him and act as if I hadn't noticed. He asks if I hear the voices in the soil as he does, to which I respond confusedly. He assures me that he isn't part of the druid cult. Thankfully. They do leave him be though, which is pretty nice, likely due to the fact that they kind of worship the infection and see it as a good thing. As he is a trader, we bartered for a number of things, including some arrows, a consumables skill book, and an atomic battery. All that in exchange for a whole bunch of my trash loot. Biggest trade of the century. I am a happy man. He mentioned that the druids are a collector type of sorts, and they don't just, collect resources, but they also, on the side, collect some humans. The thought of that is very worrisome, so I guess we really gotta watch out that we don't get picked up by them. At least he speaks well of Mother Jaggo and her tonic, which seems to have prevented him from turning completely into a feral. I guess that does raise the question if the tonic can actually cure somebody of this infection or just kinda keeps them stable as long as they have it, but I guess we'll find out in time. I had a peek at that skill book, which unlocked 3 new survival skills that I could learn, but I ended up learning an extra melee skill, as I feel like enemies are getting a little bit stronger now that I reach these new areas. I was forced to retreat to the dam to look for medical supplies when I entered its control room, where I found the recipe on how to make burn salve and observed a map of sorts. Next to this map was a lever, which when pulled, changed something in the electrical grid nearby. It turns out that only 2 of the 3 electrical cubicles can run at a time, so logically, when pulled, they swap, meaning I can enter the cubicles without electricity to see what goodies they have inside. During my investigation here, I found a note from an outlaw who found an interchange gate near the entrance to Windham village. We also have the location of the actual druid castle now, so it is confirmed that this is not quite the spot. While here though, I might as well explore everything that it has to offer. I found a seemingly imploded bunker that had a subterrestrial part that I climbed into. Inside, I was immediately notified that I was trespassing and saw some mechs in the near distance. I cautiously made my way through and was happy to find a pneumatic tube on the wall here that I could deposit some of my stuff into. The main loot that I found here was ammo, for which I have no complaints, and 3 training stimulants, so this was very lucrative. We hit the jackpot indeed. I used these to buff my melee prowess once again, and at this rate, I'm gonna be able to hit my enemies like Babe Ruth and catapult them straight into outer space. But we gotta focus, people, as the 12th hour is here, so I made my way on over to the druid castle, hoping to find the tonic recipe. On my way there, though, I couldn't avoid passing through a couple of their camps, keeping a low profile by disabling their alarm systems as much as it pained me. But the further that I entered these camps, the weirder things got.
What in the heck is that? What? Nope. Nope. I wanna go home. What is that?
Eventually, I crawled my way to what is clearly their castle, and this place is so fortified that it even puts protocol to shame. Sadly, confrontation wasn't an option, but a necessity. I also learned a quick lesson, which was that these weird plants fling poison and deal significant damage. But boy, I am happy that I learned how to make these sticky bombs, as they have proven to be very effective against these sentient weeds. I made it through the front door with relative ease, but was met with considerable levels of violence after a couple of poor choices on my part, so I had to make a break for it. Ammunition was running low, and my body was a-hurtin', so I had to stand my ground, simply looting as they dropped, hoping that I could outlast this gunfight. I had only made it through the first barracks, by the way. I imagine the castle is going to be even more difficult. After one intensive battle, I had mowed them all down and began to snoop around, and I found some coordinates for some keys to some nearby buildings, and also another book that unlocked 3 more bow skills, exactly what I had been wanting. As I had no more stimulants though, those would have to stay for another time. After all that, I was finally in front of the actual castle gate, and I had no choice but to enter the buzzing beehive. I had simply come too far to turn back now. During this infiltration, I was sure to not stick around in one spot for too long, as there are guards circling the hallways. Without much of anything, things very quickly turned ugly, so I just made sure to take out the enemies rapidly so as to not cause too much disturbance for too long. Eventually, I made it to the main hall, and the table seemed to be set for a feast. I don't know if it makes me hungry, though. Amongst the notes that I found here, one spoke of Mother Jaggo, that apparently the druids see her as one of their own, as she also hears the voices, which is kind of weird if they stole the tonic recipe from her. I was still focused though on finding a place where they hid the herbalist book and tonic recipe. I was also very confused on where to use this very specific key that I found, hoping that wherever it leads to would be the recipe.
Ah, sneaky, sneaky. The architectural equivalent to the secret treasure behind the waterfall, I see.
As soon as I entered, we were immediately met with more enemies, and as much as I want to be a stealth archer, that's not necessarily my forte.
Try me. Like shooting fish in a barrel. Come here. Land them up.
With things having calmed down some more, it took me forever to go through every single nook and cranny that this place had, but eventually, I finally found the recipe, and with that, learned how to craft the special resistance tonic. That right there is a mission success, but I couldn't just leave without disrupting their plan some more, mainly because I could hear a high priestess in the background, and I was very keen on a so-called face-to-arrow confrontation. The deeper that I went, the more the spores seemed to have infected and taken hold of this place. I did get into a sort of stalemate with some enemies, but, you know, a motto to live by is when in doubt, lure them out. Works every time. All this dungeon diving did pay off though. I was finding some very good loot, including a mace. You know, I do love to play a cleric in D&D, so I feel right at home. So I smashed my way on into Hour 13, while I walked further into the abyss. During my travels, the infected walls became more prevalent. I know bad juju when I see it. I even learned how to make a poison bomb along the way. It seemed to be getting out of hand though. This is getting pretty intense. Eventually, I entered what seemed to be the main room. It had a giant hole to which they seemed to be tossing sacrificial items. I can see robotic parts, but I'm hoping there isn't some human mixed in there. And atop a pedestal, the high priestess was slain, not leaving her with another word to speak. Shush with your demonic words. I looted her corpse and found an atomic battery, so that's pretty sick. The bounties of my efforts were rolling in, as between a couple of corpses, I found a combat stim, 2 barred crates, and a stock bolt action rifle. It was a good trade because all I had were rusties. I still needed to find the herbalist book though, so I decided to focus on finding it. How hard could it be? Turns out that is actually quite hard when you're blind as a bat. I returned to the room eventually where I found the tonic recipe, and on the table in a circle of candles, I found it as if lit up for me. Now, I could take my leave from this horrid place, having completed all I had to do, and after what seemed to take a lifetime and a half, I finally made it out alive. Now, I was finally able to head to Mother Jaggo to hand her her book back. She is surprised and gives us 3 training stimulants in return, so I'm a happy boy. With us becoming more acquainted now, she even offered us an escape from this current suffering. I assumed she meant an escape from this place. She confirms that that is indeed in her power and explains that we need to bring an offering to the foot of a statue. I remembered in a note that the druids considered her one of them, so I was surprised why I would need to return something and take it back to their religion. Things seemed kind of off, but she explained to us that she had been testing us and that she wanted to know if we were resourceful or not, and now that she knows, we need to make some progress. First things first though, I whipped up one of those strange tonics that I learned how to make and went to go test it out on Philip. Might as well test it on somebody else. I don't want any side effects, you know. While I was walking up to Windham Village, another one of those oddly placed telephone boxes started to ring, and the operator told me that Mother Jaggo was not to be trusted, but she's my friend, and you have yet to prove yourself useful, my guy. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. The journey back to Windham had its parcels, but I was happy to reach the front gate. Once back, I headed straight to the bakery and handed Iris the tonic. She thanked us sincerely, and so I tried to check on Philip myself, but his bedroom door was locked. I snooped around and actually found out that Tina from the local garage probably has it. So I popped on over there and in fact did find it. Next to the key though was a note detailing that Philip had already attacked someone, no matter how much Iris tries to deny it. Knowing full well that every second counted before disaster could strike, I rushed back to the bakery, hoping that Iris was still alive.
Oh, thank God you're alive. Huh. Alright, now if you don't mind, we're just gonna go kill your husband real quick.
Hey, Philip? How you doing, bud?
You son of a b****, if you just move a finger, you're dead. I still have faith in Jaggo's tonic. Oh, oh. He swung first. He swung first.
No need for violence.
No need for violence? Fuck you! Harbinger of disease. It had to be done. I trusted you, Iris. I should have reported you to the authorities immediately. What a fool I was!
After having gone through that, the speed at which I exited that building would have put the Flash to shame. I hope that no one would connect the dots and think that I killed those two, even though that is what happened. So on hour 14, I went about my way trying to figure out my next decisive plan of action. I didn't want the people of Windham to think that I was the murderer, so I decided to scurry into the woods. So far, the only semblance of friendship was between me, Reg, and Jaggo, so I decided to bring the offering to the designated place she marked on the map, and she assured me that while I carried it, the druids would not attack me as long as I behaved, which ended up leading me to the door that I was previously afraid of. I mean, I still am, but it's the same one. Inside, the druids were already showing the early signs of infection, and from what I could gather, they could hear the voices more clearly from inside this cave. Sure enough, there were spots of fungus and cadavers showing up all over, though through wet passages I traveled until I finally reached the totem that Mother Jaggo had spoken of. Before interacting with it though, I noticed that it's technically a dead lady encrusted into it, and I decided to go on a bit of a looting spree in case I'd never be able to return, and found their ritual room with a barred crate inside. Don't mind if I do. This crate had just enough stimulants to learn bow focus, which allows me to slow down time when shooting with a bow, but without any further ado, I went up to offer up the offering at the shrine. There, I found a note thanking Mother Jaggo for her tonics that prevented them from turning completely feral. Hesitantly, I left the offering in the bowl, and the statue started to speak to me, saying that we belong here. Weary, I asked how something dead could possibly speak, and they responded by saying that they are not dead, and that there is no death once everyone reunites in the soil. The collective says to heed Mother Jaggo's words, as she is close to them. With fear, I explained that I wanted no part in this, but all that she said was that there was no me and them, there is only us. After that creepy encounter, I decided to leave this cultish hellhole. My thoughts were torn. Both the voice on the phone and the voice in the soil seemed to want to help me, but both seem untrustworthy.
Mother Jaggo. Hi, Mama. Ain't gonna lie. It feels kind of weird if you stalked me all the way over here. Just saying. Not to say that I'm not happy to see ya.
You are closer to understanding now, my dear.
No, I have more questions than answers.
Let us talk.
Sure. And look, I don't want you to try and any funny business, okay? Just because my revolver's got some rust doesn't mean it can't turn you to dust, okay? So watch your step. Watch your step, but let's talk.
I immediately asked her what was up with that strange human sacrifice in the totem that spoke to me, and she assures us, though, that the only sacrifice that we saw was a self-sacrifice, and it becomes increasingly clear that she is on the druid side, and she is far more gone than I had thought. Impatiently, I wanted to escape this place as she had offered. She was bamboozling us all this time, though. The only escape she was offering was to join them in returning everything to the soil and atoning for one's sins by becoming a collective, essentially offering us to die.
I will take no part in your heresies.
Oh, and I had such high hopes for you. So much promise. But I was wrong about you. If you won't fulfill the purpose, there's no use for you at all.
You'll regret making an enemy of mine.
She's got a whip. She can tank too. Okay, well, maybe not a whole lot. That's 2 buckshot rounds. That'll do anybody in, really.
Well,
Oh,
up to you, eh?
Okay, let's not get over our heads here, people. Okay, this is all just a big misunderstanding. By misunderstanding, I mean she kind of wanted to, put me 6 feet under, returning to the soil, if you know what I mean.
One by one, it seems like all of the traitors are attacking me. Eventually, I'm going to run out of suppliers, so that is my main concern. Nothing was stopping me from laying waste to every druid that I came across now. While I was thinking of my next move, I came across a new entrance to the sewers, which surprisingly had me walking right into the control room. I had never had access to this place, so here I was able to learn how to make Molotovs, which was a welcome surprise. So by the end of this hour, I went up to meet with my bestie, Rege, and bought a medkit off of him for good measure. Since I'm in Slattendale, moving into the next hour, I decided to plunder the entirety of the outlaw camp and see what I could find. And apparently they're quite disorganized because they have no idea where their boss is, but more importantly, I found a weapon crate inside which was my first SMG, which I popped straight into a deposit tube for safekeeping as I have no ammo on me at this time. Here I also picked up a radiation resistance tonic that I had saved up for a very specific purpose, and at the very top of this outlaw camp was the radio tower of Slattendale. Apparently every region has its own radio tower, but just like the other one, we found that this has no power, so I'm assuming the only way to do this is if we power up parts of the Interchange. So once there, I decided it's time to check out the door that is labeled Oberon. Inside, I found a giant glass control room called the Central Processor. Apparently also, there was no radiation here, so I didn't need that tonic, and I was scared for nothing this whole time. But hello! The phone here rang, and of course I had to answer. The voice asked if I needed an operator, and at this point I was getting frustrated and asked him who the hell he is, to which he just scoffed, saying I needed to be more perceptive. He mentioned that the Interchange needed to be reactivated and subsequently needed to die. Man, who is this Oberon dude and who is this dude? I am so confused. In the Central Processor, I found a dead researcher who was holding another atomic battery and a 9mm pistol, plus a note that reads that all the doors were locked, confirming my hunch that the further doors could be opened using atomic batteries. At the central control panel, I slid in a battery, hoping for the best. An automated voice echoed in the halls, saying that I needed to restore full power with these atomic batteries due to the fact that they were all offline. So that's a lot of sections we need to get up and running. At least the locked doors of this place would now be accessible though. At Data Store D, I found a plug with another note stating a battery could be found somewhere in Skethermoor. Noted. I also snooped around a bit until I found Data Room D storeroom keys and then fired up the system from here. And thus, with quarantine lifted in this section, I now have access to Robotics, the place that I wanted to get to find a key from the dude that went there and likely died. Sadly, said section is also very heavily guarded, and that's not my only problem, as the entrance from Slatten now has turrets activated, so I'm gonna need to sneak around every time, lest I would like to become target practice. The turrets also have started to mow down outlaws that are trying to get in. Makes sense, they have been looking for it unsuccessfully till this time. I then managed to gain access to Data Store C, where I got another special key from a corpse. I picked up another atomic battery as well that I stored in the pneumatic chamber and made my way on over to the next plug. Here I found another note saying that I could find another atomic battery at the dam in the forest, which I already visited. With this quarantine here now lifted as well, we now had access to the medical facility, which, to be honest, looked a little bit f***ed up, ain't gonna lie, and then had to complete another little power puzzle to gain access to another storage room. After brute forcing my way through the code here, I was granted access. This room contained all sorts of goodies like ammunition, bandages, burn salve, and an extra training stimulant. We've been making a lot of progress, so just rolling into the next hour, I decided to keep up the momentum and sneak into Robotics, which wasn't completely easy considering the turrets and, giant robo dude, but as long as I kept a low profile and took my time with it, it proved to be not too big of an issue. Once inside, I found a new semi-automatic pistol in the first office that I entered, which was deposited almost immediately into another tube. Also, it was very evident that Robotics section was where they were making a lot of handy-dandy inventions, so I can't wait to see what I'd find. Exploring some more, I was able to drop a corpse on down that held a storage room key that I was hoping to find for a while. As I continued my exploration, I found out that the atomic waste from their production was polluting some of the rooms, inside which is loot, so I was going to risk the biscuit, but thankfully I didn't have to use that radiation tonic that I pulled out yet, so I was able to collect another training stimulant from inside one of the radiated rooms. I kept at exploring, trying to unlock every single part of this wing while continuously looting every single doodad that I spotted. It all paid off as well, as I found enough training stimulants to grant me the Fortitude skill, which means I have now more health. I eventually got into this area's control room too. A message here was played from a former employee who sealed off the entire floor, and the only way to unseal it was to use a signal redirector. We've wanted this from the start, and I have yet to hear anything of the sort. He buried the plans for this device near a house in Skethermoor, but that wasn't even my biggest concern at this point, as this message also activated some automated robot guards, so I'll be lucky if I even make it out alive. As I took my leave from this place, as I hit a roadblock, over the intercoms, I heard the voice of none other than Joyce Tanner, a person who we learned about in prior notes we've uncovered. She said that she was in storage room C, so I went to meet her face to face. And there she was. She is relieved that I'm not a feral and asks who we are. I explained that I'm simply someone just trying to survive just like her. She was very relieved and says she has been trying to get in here for a very long time. I ask why she is here, and she explains that she is the sole survivor of a convoy gone bad. She hopes to get communications up and running here and get out, and asks if we could likely form an alliance with her. Having been through the mess that was Mother Jaggo, I ask if this specifically will get me out of the zone. I gotta read the fine print. She confirms that and explains that her plan is to force communication messages through the interference field. That is, if the technology here can put out that much power. Part of her plan requires that all 3 radio towers of all 3 regions of the quarantine zone become activated, which likely now have power considering we activated the main interchange. She marks the locations on our map too, so this is fantastic progress. At long last, we finally found someone with a proper head on their shoulders. So, I was off to the radio tower in Slatten, as she will open the doors from inside the interchange. All I gotta do is slot in the keycard once there. And I can't explain how relieved I was that following these instructions down to the T proved to be successful, as through the intercoms she explained that it was now operational. She also said that she would be following a trail of hidden information in the data storages involving what exactly happened in the interchange before everything went belly up. So, while she does that, I decided to keep my momentum and went straight to the woods next to activate that radio tower. Of course, my way there had me going through a couple of tough engagements with groups of druids, but honestly, it's never a dull moment in combat. You see, you can't just really mow enemies down, you gotta take ammo into consideration, your stamina, the amount of enemies. There's a lot of factors that go into the engagements, and I find it very, very entertaining. I ain't gonna lie though, I'm a little bit biased on beating up druids, probably to scratch an itch due to Mother Jaggo's betrayal. During all this, I walked by a phone booth that obviously started to ring, where the operator insinuated that if we kill Oberon, the exit will open. He is desperately trying to convince us that only he can be trusted, that no one else is on our side, but honestly, that's you and everybody else, buddy. Like, you're gonna have to put a little bit more work into your pitch, my guy. So by the time the 17th hour struck, I approached the Casterfell Woods radio tower. Once inside, I found a note that stated that the keycard for this tower was in a place called Bunker L9, which, according to this note, was overrun by ferals and poison gas. How exciting! I realized that the note was probably talking about that collapsed bunker next to the dam that we found a while back. To my surprise, when I got there, I was right. I was able to breach the gate undetected and decided to use a back door as the main one was polluted and I didn't have the right tonic on me. Moving on inside, I did my very best to keep things stealthy, sniping down the ferals, but sadly though, things don't always go according to plan, as I missed a shot and was left with no other choice but to fend off an angry mob of zombies in this tight corridor.
Oh, that was tense. Oh, I thought I was gonna die. Ooh-wee. That was way too close.
I was so relieved that I made it out alive, and so logically I was gonna peek back inside, but fate was about to teach me a very unexpected lesson.
Oh no! Nope. Oh no! Oh, I didn't expect them to be right at the door again. Oh man, that caught me off guard. I panicked there. Holy. But at least I'm in front of the door again. It's not too bad, but dang, that made my heart race for a sec.
Yeah, I totally forgot that the mobs in these bunker type things just stay where they are, so noted, but luckily dying isn't that punishing, so after all that, I just went in guns blazing and only survived by the skin off my teeth. After that, I began to plunder this place for everything that I could possibly remotely deem valuable. At this point though, I hit a snag as I couldn't find the access card until I turned on the ventilation system and released the poison gas that was blocking my path. So yet again, my plans are halted by my lack of a signal redirector. And you know what? I've had it. I've made up my mind. I need to head to Skethermoor and find one ASAP. So I used an interchange gate to get there as fast as my little legs could take me. Amongst the outlaws' corpses that were scattered around the place, I found a triple training stimulant pack, which I used to learn a skill called Thick Skin, which reduces the melee damage that I take. I really wish I would have had this when I entered that bunker. Eventually, I ended up at the same part of the interchange that I accessed always from Windham Village. I walked joyfully into the data store A here, but was sadly met with spore clouds instead of poison clouds. Luckily, I still have a strange tonic from Mother Jaggo, which should last me until I've activated the ventilation. Through a number of spore pods, I was able to tread through and slot in my last atomic battery, and continued to use the tonic while still active to snoop around the lower areas more safely and found a body with a key on it. I used said key to unlock a room nearby, which caused a number of bizarre mutated mites to spawn. There's no time to imagine them crawling up my frivolous body. Time was running out of the potion, so I had to make one final plunge to get the booty that was inside.
Ooh, that was close. Ooh, that was way too close. That my resistance just ran out, but I got my stims, and that's all that matters.
I made it through medical and eventually into Slatten Dale, said hello to Reg, and entered the infamous Skethermoor. Thanks to all the information that we gathered from conversations, many locations are already marked on my map, of which my first stop had to be the manor. Looking across the landscape, a strong military presence seemed to be very obvious and warranted, as the spores appeared to be growing wildly here. On my way to the manor, I found a trader camp run by Corporal Bootsy, who is a protocol soldier selling black market items. He's a pretty chill guy, and as long as we don't put a bullet through his head, he's up for trades, and his items are very intriguing. Considering the dangers of this place, I need all the upgrades that I can get, so I ran all the way back to the nearest tube to collect all of my sellable items. Once I got back with everything, I haggled for a good while with Bootsy, as he had a lot of interesting items, including a heavy survival knife, a firearm skill book, a combat stimulant recipe, a better pistol, and more. With the book, I unlocked all skills for ranged combat. If only I had enough training stimulants to unlock all of them, but I guess we gotta pick and choose as we go. So now, going into our 18th armed to the teeth, I kept looking for the manor. Mucking around, I was suddenly attacked by a flock of birds, so I tested out my heavy knife and swatted them like flies. Once I found the manor, I was surprised to find a bunch of corpses out in the front. That can't be good. A warning sign, at best. I circled the perimeter to be safe and ended up in a hedge maze of sorts, where I found a cache with a note related to the signal redirector, so we're on the right trail. From what I could gather, a person named Nora found it first and would be waiting at a barn to have a little bit of a chit-chat about it. So now I've got to find this barn. Before that, though, I did check out the cellar of the manor, where I encountered a person named Ilya. From what I can gather, he seems to be an escaped POW, so we told him that we are not with the protocol soldiers, and after a bit of convincing, he decides to believe us. He tells us that he has a damaged radio and asks us if we can help him fix it. I asked him what's in it for me, logically, and he offered to relay any information that he got from the radio to us, which probably has its value, surely. For now, though, I decided to find this barn the note spoke of and see that I can get my hands on that signal redirector. Eventually, I reached Nora's excessively booby-trapped barn, and in a pond at the back, I found another atomic battery, just as we had read in a note a long time ago. It will come in handy once I return to the Interchange, surely, but first up, I met up with Nora. Funnily enough, she is the same person that Alf from the pub in Windham requested a message from to be delivered. Considering she also might have the signal redirector, though, I chose to try and bargain for delivering this information to Alf. But she basically says that all I get is a smile on my face for doing the right thing, so that's something. She inquires about our intentions, to which we reply that we say that we're trying to escape the zone. She chuckles a bit at that, and since we are more acquainted now, though, is open to some trading. And although she drives a very hard bargain, I took another atomic battery and some SMG ammo off her hands. Logically then, I asked about the signal redirector, to which I handed her the note that I found. According to her, she only found a few pieces of the original note detailing the signal redirector's location. And like most things in the zone, all things lead back to Dr. Garrow, who is currently in prison. She likely knows where to get one, but I don't know if I want to do some prison break action right now. Nora then also mentioned that a certain lost shipment of bard equipment might be helpful. This sounds familiar. This has to be related to Windfall, so she marks the location on our map, generally speaking, in case it helps. She also indicates that this region's interchange gate is near where the soldiers are camped out, so it's a risky business to try and get in. That Windfall crate intrigued me quite a bit, so I went off exploring, and as if on cue, another phone booth began to ring. The operator knew that I had met Tanner, and seemed to be frustrated that I was teaming up with her and not with him. So, tough luck. I don't know what kind of relationship we're building, but I don't think we're on the same page. I had my work cut out for me to explore these lands, as it's quite difficult. The soldiers here erected a wall of sirens that would surely activate and notify them if I were to even get close, so things are getting tricky. Searching for more leads going into hour 19, I did come across a bunker that turned out to be a protocol workshop, and all of their goodies are most definitely going to be mine. Considering my recent purchases, I pulled out my SMG from a tube, and amongst the soldiers that I was stealthily taking out, stumbled upon a dead scientist who held the Windfall keycard, the shipment that I've been looking for that supposedly, possibly, maybe, holds a signal redirector. That is precisely the type of lead I've been looking for. I then proceeded to claim every training stimulant under the sun here, as they were clearly not going to be using them anymore. I then had a few more skirmishes down here, and from the information that I gathered, this seemed to be a place where they were dismantling robots for armor, and were bringing said armor to the Interchange. For what? I am not sure. The only conclusion that I can make is that maybe the protocol soldiers here can be tankier than other enemies we've come across. Popping back to the surface, one thing was clear in my mind. I either will get the signal redirector through the specific Windfall Bard crates or through Dr. Garrow, but both likely entail me sneaking into heavily defended enemy territory. While trying to find a way to get past their alarm system, I found a special cottage cellar with an array of secret buttons and rewards. It even had a secret door that hid a desk with a map mounted on top of it. Whoever built this place was also seemingly after the Interchange. This place was also decked out like a survival shack and had tons, and I mean tons, of training stimulants. And considering I had saved up plenty thus far, I was able to purchase Firearms Focus. This skill lets me deal more damage with my firearms as long as my heart rate is up, and I believe there is a tea consumable that's going to come in clutch to keep it stable. I was happy to see a significant damage increase against the guards as I went outside, and I didn't just get a boost in firepower, but also boosted my ego as I found out how to slay robots. And although I wasn't fully able to carry through with this kill, I know that I need to damage its weak parts until it goes down, which pops out the atomic battery at the back, which gives me a brief moment to pluck it out. Knowledge is key, they say. All of the robots here were fully aware of my presence now though, so I decided to skedaddle. I popped into Windham while I was waiting for things to cool down and decided to bring Alf Nora's message, for which he thanked us. I immediately stabbed him in the back though, as I went to snoop around in his cellar without him knowing. According to a note that I found here, Alf has heard that the Reverend of the church has an atomic battery and would like it in case they need it for something with a bit more of a kick. Sounds like Alf is planning to stage a coup. His cellar also connects to some passageways that go all across the city underground. These tunnels made my heart sink though, as I found spores here. What the hell is going on? The deeper that I went, the more I found, the more natural growing spores and bugs crawling over every corner. I could only assume that Alf was up to no good. After following these long and winding pathways, I found an exit tunnel that led me straight back to Skethermoor. I don't know exactly what this all means, but I'll hold on to this information for now. The clock tolled the 20th hour, and with time ever fleeting, I rushed through the Windham's newly powered Interchange gate, which was powered last time we were here with an atomic battery, but it's not just powered, it's subsequently also armed. This is going to be a doozy, so I got some tea to keep my heart rate down and tested if I could break the turrets. After spending more ammunition than I cared to admit, I broke the turret and passed on through unscathed. This area is cluttered with more spores, so I mixed together another strange tonic and then unleashed my fury on some ferals. I'm getting through here no matter what, I told myself, and as much as I would have wanted to stay and loot, the ambient noises made it clear that I wasn't alone, so I got out of there and made it to the main central medical center. In one of the medical rooms, I listened to an audio recording from Dr. Fisher. We heard of this person in the first feral bunker that we found. It was detailing that someone named Dr. Holder is going rogue, stealing samples and setting up his own lab at the Windham Church. Again, things circled back to the Reverend. I also conveniently have keys for that place here. After walking out of there, I was greeted by a hazmat zombie. And let me tell you, these can take a beating. I spent nearly all of my ammunition on these juggernauts. And seeing as blasting my weapons attracted every single one of these in the vicinity, I had a standoff with them on top of this desk, too terrified to step down. At this point, the floor is lava. After hacking and slashing my way on through this horde, I found more clues in this hospital of what happened by listening to some audio logs. I gathered that Dr. Fisher had become infected and was resisting untested treatment from Dr. Holder. This is all very ominous, as I can hear screams in the background. The only way for me to progress in this floor, though, seemed to be with an unknown keycard, so I had no choice but to turn back to the main interchange, where I learned the radiation tonic recipe. I was dead set on finding the signal redirector though, so I was frantically running back and forth, reading signs and listening to more Left Behind audio logs, simply trying to piece information together on the go while trying to get back to Skethermoor. Through all of this, I did have some odd interactions, to say the least.
Now, this isn't a good idea. But it's an idea. I don't know what that secondary explosion was, though. That was a beat! Come here. Come to the turrets. Take care of him, Legion. Ha 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 ha. Why spend my bullets when I can spend Bard's bullets? My intellect scares me sometimes. Come on. Come on, Pookie. Come on, Pookie. Come on, Pookie. Come on. Yeah, Pookie Wookie. Yeah, Pookie Wookie. Oh, that was a little bit close.
Moving on, I did some general inspections, clearing out a lot of the remaining rooms in medical. But after not finding anything of value, I decided to head to Skethermoor directly to investigate the Windfall shipment. As I said previously, this place is all sorts of odd and bizarre, both scary and funny.
What in the heck did I find here? Well, somebody was having fun in the apocalypse. You know what? When I go, that's how I want it to be.
While exploring with my metal detector, I did find a cache with Ilya's key. Maybe if I help him with his radio, I can get some more loot. I then did all sorts of sightseeing and decided to stop by this region's radio tower. The key to it is apparently in a vehicle storage bunker, access to which can be granted by the nearby greenhouses. Much to my surprise, I found the entrance in no time and searched for said key. This place was littered with enemies though, and luckily at least I came prepared this time.
This is my door. Leave me alone. You wouldn't dare try me. Oh shit! Oh shit! I'm almost dead. Woo! Holy crap! That hole. Oh, I'm out of meds. I gotta go. I don't have any meds. How am I alive?
Okay, I hear you. Preparation doesn't go far if you lack skill. I was on the brink of death, sure, and without any ammo at this point, so I had to wait for my health to passively regenerate a bit. I ate some raw potatoes, that'll probably do the trick, I'm sure. Impatiently, with minimal health, I decided to pop painkillers, combat stims, and charge straight in. As soon as I got there, almost nobody was left. I prepped for nothing. Did everyone despawn? I'm not sure. I kept sneaking around, and unsurprisingly, it proved to be very, very lucrative. Let me just put it at that. And I was one happy son of a gun going into hour 21 as I found a couple of more training stimulants, and the cherry on top, the radio tower key for Skethermoor. Thanks to a radiation-resistant tonic that I had, I was also able to break into the armory down here and take a new stock rifle called the Lee N4 and an atomic battery. I left the bunker and jolted straight to the tower, where I inserted the key and started the system up. Only the radio tower in Casterfell Woods remains. But I don't want to leave this place until I find the Windfall shipment, as I need that signal redirector to move the gas out. I decided to attack one of the bases here and even managed to slaughter a couple of them due to having the high ground. But that all means very little if they have superior firepower, so after wasting a bunch of my very rare ammunition, I was set on pulling back and trying a more stealthy approach. But before I was even able to try that out, a robot pulled up from behind me and just mowed me down like a blade of grass.
Oh no! Well, I deserved that, honestly.
My second attempt was much more tactical. I dealt with the humans first, then shifted my focus to the bots. Once I had hit its optical sensor, I went behind it and extracted the battery, shutting it down completely. I then plundered the nearby area, even got an LMG. Unfortunately, I don't have the most minimal amount of ammunition to supply this weapon. After looting some more, I found a semi-automatic sniper rifle, which is a bit more up my alley anyways. Moving into the closer areas, I walked across a crop field that was tended to by prisoners who didn't seem to be bothered by my presence, luckily. The more I worked myself into the camp, the more stuff started to get out of hand. I had to resort to guerrilla warfare tactics. Kill and hide, rinse and repeat. Ammo was worth more than gold around these parts, so every shot counted. I was running away from some guards eventually, which ended up with me popping into another bunker. To my surprise, it was actually the protocol field station where the windfall crate is likely stored at. I had no idea this was going to be it, so this was a huge relief. And also, I can access my meds from here, so this is just all around a pleasant surprise. While I was healing up, I looted some more training stims and also came across my ticket straight on out of here.
Oh, sweet mama. Oh, we made it. Oh, this is what I needed. Since the beginning, I've wanted this item. Hello, precious. We're getting out of here.
And since I'm here, I might as well extend my stay just a little bit, do some cleanup here and there, you know, just the usual.
Damn. 3 for 3, I'm getting good at this.
Once the entire place was scrubbed to squeaky clean, I learned how to use the signal redirector, which let me passage into a room filled with glorious, glorious loot. Inside, I found an antidote recipe, and with some more training stims, I learned the firearm handling skill, which grants me more control over my recoil. Now, I would just love to go and face an entire army solo, all to save some Dr. Garrow who I have never met before, but I have much more important things to do. So on hour 22 is when I was making my way on over to the poison bunker in Casterfell Woods. I made a quick pit stop at a tube to deposit a lot of stuff and make room in my inventory, because who knows what I'll find in there. Also, since I'm in the woods, this is the perfect time to grab a new bow and stock up on some arrows, since I had to ditch mine for some inventory space a while back. I did this till the point where I reached the poison bunker yet again and waltzed on through it without any issues whatsoever, thankfully, and inspected what needed to be done here. After playing with the electrical systems for a bit, the ventilation system was up and running, only mild asbestos remains. And so, before me, much to my astonishment, lie the final piece to this puzzle, the last radio keycard, which I snatched up and left with in a hurry. At long last, the final radio tower was in sight, and upon activating it, it spoke a whole lot of alphanumeric code through the speaker. No message from Tanner, which has me a little bit worried, so I rushed straight back to the Interchange to check on her.
Abjerint. Tijat. Oh, that scared me. Oh, that scared me. I did. Oh, the turrets. Oh, you. That wasn't necessary. I want to kill you. Oh, sh. Oh, sh. Bard! Help!
Finally, I was able to navigate the area with great ease, as I could now control the electricity with the signal redirector. So I returned to Joyce, who is overjoyed that we managed to turn on all the radio towers, but I do seem to notice that she might be wounded based on her posture. And here's where she decides to drop the fine print of this whole operation we've been running. Apparently, the only way to get out of here is to retrieve a piece of Oberon itself. Here we go. I asked her first and foremost what Oberon even is. She says that she's not sure, but it seems to be something they found in the mines, which was the reason for all the incredible science that they were doing here. The reason why we need a piece of it is that Joyce's friends, who are going to come pick us up, will want a piece of it in return as a reward. And if I help to retrieve this piece, they will probably let me tag along. I think it's only fair for me to ask who she's actually working for, and she's not too keen on telling me that, but gives me her word that if we help her, she'll get me out of here. For this plan to work, we need to power up the entire Interchange first though, get a sample of Oberon then, and subsequently burn this whole place to the ground. I asked bluntly how that will get me out of here, as it seems I'm stretching out my neck for not a whole lot of certainty, and so she gives me the crucial tidbit of information that the interference field, which crashes planes and doesn't let comms get through, is caused by Oberon. So, okay, things make sense now, but you might have wanted to have started with that, lady. So I accept this phenomenal task, much to the detriment of my own personal safety, and she does say that if I have some loose ends to tie up, now's the time. So I decided to return to the robotics section. While doing that, I definitely became bullet practice for the nearby turrets, so I used some training stimulants to learn recovery skills so I can heal faster and more passively. Once inside, I redirected the power to the main gate that I couldn't open previously, which caused the floor to become electrified. How odd. However, with patience, I was able to fix the issue and gained access to the lower level of the robotics section. This was honestly the most heavily guarded spot in the entire interchange, so I proceeded to sneak around lights on my feet and tried to figure out what the heck I was meant to be doing here. At this point in the game, stealth wasn't really an option for me personally. It was a necessity. There ain't no flipping way I'm blasting through all of this mess. Slowly, patiently, and cautiously, I pressed 3 buttons and thus was granted access to a room where I found some ammunition and the head office keycard. I took that as my cue that I had uncovered everything that was important in this facility, so I skedaddled to the nearest exit, but little did I know I was forgetting a couple of loose ends here. But don't worry, we'll wrap it up in a jiffy. Thing is though, on hour 23, my exit wasn't as smooth as planned, as I was moving from fighting robots and turrets to fighting off a squad of feral zombies. After putting a couple of them down, I found a body with the site office key, which had me a bit confused. I thought the key that I got in robotics was this one, but this is the key we've been looking for from that officer who went to robotics. So first, I circled back into robotics to figure out what the key that I got there was for, and turns out it's to enter Dr. Garrow's head office. Here, I learned the gut health skill, which grants you extra buffs when you eat food. I also got her research notes in case they come in handy once we get out of this place, because evidently she was running this place before it all went kablooey. After running through this maze of a facility, I finally managed to reach the head office, where I used the key, excited to see what was inside.
I did all that work for a single training stimulant. I mean, I'm happy about it, but I should have probably found a way to just go down and grab that key instead of doing the whole runaround, but at least I got the whole tour.
Now, since I had finished off the robotics section, I decided to head back to Skethermoor, where I still needed to activate the last interchange gate, and I'm already scared as it's nestled in the largest protocol soldier base there is. As I was frolicking through the lands, I noticed a skirmish between outlaws and protocol, so I decided to third party and ruin everybody's day. This became an all-out firefight though. Things escalated real fast. We were trading bullets left, right, and center, and it seemed to be going every which way but one that was in my favor. So this was most definitely the consequences of my actions, but thankfully, in the heat of the moment, I figured out how to disable the defensive alarm perimeter. That seemed to do the trick, as now they were as blind as a bat. They had no clue where I was, which made it possible for me to sneak on through. Based on the information that I've gathered thus far, Skethermoor's interchange should be right behind this giant concrete block, so I charted my course in that direction. Stupidly, I got myself into a dumb situation where I ended up in a standoff with what felt like every enemy on the entire map, all at the same time.
I'm alive. Oh no, oh, there's so many enemies. Oh, that was so rough. There was like 50 of them still in there.
That had me changing up my tactics and moved into one of their structures. If they want to use them as defensive positions, well, so can I. This place proved to be quite challenging though to defend, and there was an enormous number of soldiers who really did not seem to like to perish, so I made the call to skedaddle on out of there and restock on items by doing some trading. I grabbed some meds from Norris, explosives from Bootsy, and 3 first aid kits from Nora. I had to kick things into overdrive going into the 24th, and with that final hour, I made my way to the Skethermoor interchange gate while gathering ammo along the way. And although this is going to be difficult, I had already made a dent in a number of their soldiers here prior, so I'd better get back to work. And this was so incredibly difficult. With the limited amount of supplies and sheer amount of enemies, I was just rolling with the punches. If it wasn't one thing, it was another to make my life here more difficult. I was using everything at my disposal on the fly. Everything from tonics to explosives was used to keep me alive until finally, it seemed like the violence had come to a halt. And so thankfully, dry of supplies, I managed to sneak past the defensive turret by the gate and just rushed in, guns blazing. At this point, the sheer amount of adrenaline had me losing my mind. I was exhausted. But once the coast was clear, I had a look around this place and noticed it seemed operational and quite normal. But it was I who opened what they oh so desired. The gate has been unsealed. Right off the rip, I was met by multiple ferals, but after what I just went through, this was a cakewalk. Here I accessed Data Store B, and Destiny was rewarding me for my efforts. I reached the final plug, and without any resistance at all, I got this booted up. The voice comms state that the central processor is now fully powered and ready to rumble. I opened one final storage room on my way in hopes to be able to gear up some more, and then headed straight to the central processor to start up the interchange. It's been a long time coming. I redirected all the power here and flipped the switch to restart the facility. After a giant electrical machine combined itself in the middle, I was then granted access to Oberon, whatever it may be. And so as I walk through this eerie tunnel where tension can be cut in the air with a knife, I want to thank all of our lovely patrons and channel members for their monthly support. It is greatly appreciated and helps out our video production greatly, so sincerely, thank you very much. At the end, I reached a set of doors which, when opened, greeted me with another destroyed room, and it became very clear that we have now entered the heart of the infection. This is also where we found out that the scientists who were working on this project went out nobly, knowing their jig was up. The phone in the room starts to ring, and the operator on the other side seems to be just as excited as we are about taking out Oberon. He says, though, that we need to take out the entire Windscale facility with it. Surely a simple task. Luckily, as I descended further, I had enough materials to craft another strange tonic, which is definitely going to help me investigate these polluted sections. I entered the center of the power plant in due time. It is very clearly blown to smithereens, with everything in sight infected and rain pouring down heavily. This is the Horde's nest. I did everything in my power to go undetected and prevent confrontation, and even though this is all very doomy and gloomy, I think it is awfully pretty. It seems that this infectious fungus is penetrating all the way to the core of the Earth itself. Besides sightseeing though, my top priority was staying alive and uncovering more mysteries, and from what I could gather here, they seem to be extracting something that the scientists were calling oberite, in hopes that studying it and implementing it in technology, I'm assuming, would make Great Britain a world power once again. You know, the more and more that I have investigated the situation that has unfolded here, I respect the noble sacrifices people have made. Everything that is here should never leave the quarantine.
Okay. If this doesn't scream final boss, I don't know what would, but you've done a lovely thing with the place. Absolutely stunning. We got robots over here, but I don't think that's part of, you know, the whole Oberon shtick. Let's see what we can do over here, huh?
Upon stealthful investigation, I found a model crafted to scale depicting a purple meteorite. Upon reading the note left behind, it could be that Oberon came from outer space, and its arrival may have dawned a new era for the entire world, so I guess now we know what it is. Snooping around some more, I uncovered what seemed to be a nuclear reactor. Now, if only I could find a pneumatic tube to retrieve all of my stored atomic batteries. While looking for said tube, I did find the control room where I caught a better glimpse of Oberon. This is going to be much harder to destroy than I anticipated. According to the overhead comms though, seems like the facility is rigged with explosives and I just need to set them off if I want to destroy this thing. Thing is though, reaching the 4 locations of the set explosives is no easy task, as there are flame-throwing mechs roaming the place 24/7 in unison. This is going to be awfully dicey, so using the best of my stealthful capabilities, I reached the nearest explosive that I needed to arm, and it is super nice of the former staff members to have already set these up for me. Very convenient. Here's the catch though, if I want to blow this place up, I need to power up the nuclear reactor, for which I would love to have access to my already stored atomic batteries, but while walking around the meteorite, I did find one. So I was happy, so I turned on back to it and slotted it straight in, but here's where I noticed that I actually need 2. Perfect. I hope I can actually find one in time. The clock was ticking rapidly. 3 more explosives needed to be primed, and now it wasn't just mechs that I had to deal with, there were also ferals. But thankfully, priming the remaining 3 didn't prove to be all that difficult. The kicker though is the atomic battery, and I am pretty sure the only way for me to get one here is to take out one of the flamethrower mechs with the heat, quite literally, of all of the other ones on my booty cheeks. So this is gonna be rough.
Oh, I can't believe that worked. I can't believe that worked. Oh, I can't believe that worked. Oh, you thought you had me, huh? Oh. Okay, I'm not home safe yet, but dang, my cheeks are clenched.
At long last, I slotted in the final piece to the puzzle and had everything primed and ready. So after pulling the lever to get a sample, a laser drill cut out a section of the meteorite, shattering it in the process, but then proceeded to take said piece and put it into a refining machine. I was then able to retrieve said refined material, a purified sample which Tanner wanted from me. With this sample in my hands, it was time to blow this party sky high by pulling the self-destruct lever.
Okay, 3 minutes minimum safe distance. That doesn't provide me with a whole lot of context. Like, could you give me like feet, miles, kilometers? That'd be a great help. But either way, I'm just gonna floor it. Don't mind. As for you, Oberon, sweet dreams down here in the abyss. No one's gonna miss you. I am getting the fuck out of here. Ooh. 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 What's happening? Yo. Okay. I can escape with Joyce Tanner. Let's fucking go. All right, now we're cooking. Get me the frick out of here. You promised me an entourage, an escort, a limo. I want the whole works. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, 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 gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, 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 gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, go, go. I got lost a little for a second. If I go this direction, I should be fine. Oh, crud. How do I get down from here? Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to risk it. You know what? I ain't gonna complain about broken ankles right now. Just gonna slap that on, call it a day, give it a kiss, and we're good to go. Oh, wait. Out? Oh, druids? Oh, everybody's here. Druids, outlaws, zombies. You name it, this place got it. Hate to be them, though. They're about to see their god be blown up to smithereens in the glory of hellfire. See you later. Y'all wanted to be in the soil so badly. So, there you go. Oh, hello, Mr. Operator.
You have succeeded.
Indeed. Make it snappy. People are trying to kill me.
And you have earned your reward. A way out.
You bet your sweet pippy I did.
Go back to the beginning. Go back to where you awoke.
Operator or Tanner, you could be some old wrinkly dude. I'm going with Tanner. Uh-oh. Oh, the train is leaving the station. This whole place is getting screwed. Oh boy. Okay, thank you, game, for telling me where to go. I hope this is the right way at least. Right, C, Charlie, Tanner. I'm coming. Where did you go? Tanner! Tanner! She promised me. It's in the notes. Tanner, where are you? You're always here. Tanner! This isn't looking good. Don't tell me she died. Don't tell me I took too long. Extraction on the way.
Hopefully you're still alive. I'd like to imagine it's you listening to this.
Oh!
Not some gruesome thing.
Don't tell me you betrayed me, woman.
The interference field is fading. There's an extraction on the way, and I've gone to meet it.
Uh-huh.
I'm including the coordinates in this transmission.
Oh, thank God.
Come find me, and we can finally get out of this awful, awful place. Oh, and don't forget the overall sample.
Oh, I got it. Bye, boys. See you later.
I ran towards Joyce's coordinates with every fiber of my being. Even outside, all hell seemed to break loose as everyone seemed to be fighting anything that moved. Passing through Windham, we could see our work with the power plant engulfed in flames. But no time for sightseeing. We are to meet Tanner in the forest. We are so close to leaving this place. That was the only thing on my mind. Once I had gotten to the extraction point, I was so glad to actually see her and a chopper there.
Oh, can't you
Finally,
surprise?
someone pulled through.
Tanner? You son of a gun. I thought you left me for dead. Come here.
You're here.
Before leaving though, I insist that she tells me who she's actually working for, and she's a little bit vague about it, but tells me that she works for some high government organization that is trying to get the secrets of Oberon out to the world so that no one country can use it against another. Similarly to how many countries have nuclear weapons, all for the sake that no one uses them. I am against this infectious material breaking out to the open world, but she's been my only friend up until this point, and so in confidence, I gave her the sample and gazed upon my ride to get the frick out of here. The sweet taste of freedom is on my lips.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
No!
Live. My friends just want a little chat first. Well, more like a debrief, really. Actually, it's probably more like an interrogation.
what?
Well, I guess we get out of the zone one way or another. This one definitely involving a concussion though. But here is where the operator chimes in and recaps us on the mistakes we've made, the devastation that we have left behind, and most importantly that we didn't go along with his plan. But one thing is clear. Oberon is dead, and the world now knows what happened here in the quarantine as it has been lifted. And I'll be damned, we basically hit the nail smack dab on the head on the 24-hour mark. That is surprisingly accurate. And don't forget, my lovelies, grab Atomfall today on Game Pass, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC using the link down below, and let me know which of the many different endings you got. Now go forth, enjoy this gorgeous story-driven survival experience, and I will be seeing you very soon. So take care now. Bye-bye.